This property is almost $1 million. Your other influencers, they sure talk a big game, but they don't talk about beginner stuff. They don't talk about the reverse 1031 exchange. They just talk about the basics. And do they really even own property? Because it sure seems like they make more money off social media than they do in their real estate career, because you never really see them getting their hands dirty like me. Do you know what a reverse 1031 exchange is? There's four main parts to a reverse 1031 exchange. First part is you have to go to your lawyer and set up basically the 1031 exchange that's going to use an accruit instead of a fiduciary. On a normal one, you do a fiduciary. On this one, you do a accruit. The other part is you got to buy the subject property first, and they have to help you close on it. Third part is you have to identify a property eventually of what you're going to buy. And the fourth part is once you close on it, you can actually touch some of the money, because basically you may not need all of it to buy that property. Well, you can actually touch that money now. So follow along as I tell you more. The first thing you do when you get your lawyer and you tell them you're going to do a reverse 1031 exchange is they hire another firm that's basically called an accruit. And what they do is they set up an LLC. So you're going to become the managing member of this LLC. Now the LLC is going to buy your subject land that you want to own, and then your LLC is going to handle selling your other property to pay for it. So that is what's very different from your normal 1031 exchange. The other part that's really crazy is in a normal 1031 exchange, you have two things you got to remember. 45 days to identify up to 3 properties, and you have 180 days to close each property. Well, on a reverse 1031, there is no deadline. You can sell your other property whenever you want. You can buy the other property and you don't have a time frame to sell the other property, so you could put it on the market and wait for a good price. Why do more people not do it? Well, the main reason more people don't do it is because you have to somehow have the capital to buy the subject property. And so what I do is a lot of times I will use a line of credit, or I'll have some cash saved up. And the reason this is a fun thing to do is because when I sell that other property, I might make a few bucks more, but I'm not paying taxes on any of that money now. And even though I took some of my money or the bank's money to buy the subject property, I'm really not out nothing, because the amount of money I would have made on that, or the risk I took trying to find something in a rush, I didn't have to do because I did it this reverse way. I got the first property. And most of the times when you're doing this, you already know you're going to sell yours. It's the problem is identifying the first one. So like this farm here, I bought this at auction a year before I sold my other property. And all I was out from the bank was about $5-6 grand in interest. So the taxes on the other property would have been probably $40,000-50,000. So I saved a lot of money on that. But I was able to hang on to this property and not be in a race to sell that and lose money. That's the benefit. The second part of this, when you identify the property you're going to buy, lawyer has to be involved, because they actually process all that paperwork. So they're basically acting as your company lawyer of your LLC to buy that property, so you don't have where you touched it beforehand. Very important step. Before you close on that property, you have to have them involved. So you couldn't go out and buy a property, go to a lawyer and say, hey, I want to do a 1031 reverse. You've already bought it and touched it. That doesn't work. You got to make sure they're involved in day one. So we've basically got the lawyer set up. They're going to be your accruit. They're going to help you through this process. We've identified the property that you're going to buy. You've sold the property you're going to buy. Now the lawyer at that closing is also going to do paperwork and handle the transition from that money going back to, like, say like me, I used my bank to buy the property. So they basically set it up in an account to run to the bank. With my situation, when you run to the bank with it, you'll either pay it all off or you'll have a little bit of a loan, depending what you do. Sometimes when you're trading up, you'll have a little bit left over. But that's really the third part of this. They're going to send that money now to them. Now let's move on to the fourth and final part. Now before we finish this video, one thing that has always amazed me about YouTube and about the world of social media is I'm out here buying this property. This property is almost $1 million. Your other influencers, they sure talk a big game, but they don't talk about any more than boilerplate beginner stuff. They don't talk about the reverse 1031 exchange. They just talk about the basics. Do they really even own property? Because it sure seems like they make more money off social media than they do in their real estate career, because you never really see them getting their hands dirty like me. Just something funny I thought of. Maybe you think the same thing. Let me know in the comments below, because I think that's very crazy. Now the fourth part of this is when the lawyer gives the money to the bank decides, hey, they're going to ask you, do you want some money out of this? You don't have to do a refinance. You're literally going to get the option to touch some of this money and you keep it, and then just on your property you bought, you might have a loan for a little bit. So like for me, I sold a property, it was 144 acres, and I sold that for $800,000, and then I bought a subject property right above $800,000. And so when I did mine, I was able to buy the property I wanted first because it was in an auction. I was afraid of losing it, and I was able to get it, hold it, and then I sold my other property like a year later, and as it transferred over, I also pulled out a little money. So I was able to do that whole refinance without a refinance, basically. And that's my situation. Well, that's the 4 parts and how it all works. I hope it was informational for you. I hope you learned something, because a lot of people don't know this, a lot of people don't put it out there, and it's really basic stuff. Thanks for watching. Take it easy. Till next time.